Good morning, what a treat. Well, we're still snowed in and it's a little persistent, and I have been doing boat work and hanging out in Silva Bay and doing my own shop work the whole time because I'm snowed in and I can't get my car out. However, I've run out of materials. As you noticed in the last episode, I was trying to get like the diesel heater going and I'm missing three main things. There's no insulation on the boat, and I'm also missing a lot of the conduits and stuff I'm going to need to actually connect all of the tubing for the hydronic system, and I don't have a bracket to actually mount the heater on the wall. So in this episode, hopefully, we will scratch all three and have some hot coffee, keep ourselves toasty. Let's get to it. Okay, we're down in the bilge again. We're just going to sort out this PEX tubing that runs the hydronic heating setup. Now, I talked to Evan, the previous owner of Perihelion, about the hydronic system, and his main complaint is that it doesn't transmit the heat out quickly enough, meaning that hot coolant was making its way from the hydronic heater through the entire system and back to the hydronic still at a pretty good temperature. That means that the flow is very good. Now, I'm not so concerned about keeping the flow so good because it'd be nice if it took a little bit longer to get through the system and shed more of its heat. Because that is the point, to shed its heat to actually be part of my whole heating system. So I don't mind adding some 90-degree bends in here to make this all fit a lot better. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to chop it up and we're going to put some 90-degree bends in it and clean this whole installation up a bit. Okay, unfortunately, come down here. Down here. Yeah. I've got a problem. This is the PEX hose that runs my hydronic system. And I have just clamped this PEX fitting on here. And you can tell it's not coming off. And here's my joint coming in and out. So, this is what I think happened. PEX is rated for 95 degrees Celsius, according to my Googling. Maybe there's some PEX that can do more. I don't know. But this doesn't seem to be the one, because what happened is once the hydronic heater was connected to this loop and the engine was connected to this loop, over the years it has melted this PEX and allowed it to expand ever so slightly. The other thing I've noticed is that the hydronic loop on this was actually pressurized the whole entire time because the hot water was pressurized. And so the pump feeding it kept it under pressure the whole time. Now, a lot of hydronic loops, you don't want to do this. You want to keep the whole system not pressurized, mainly because, as it heats up, you don't want the possibility of, a glycol explosion somewhere in the boat. Now, this is just hot water, so on top of the issue of blowing out all my PEX tubes, there's probably also a fair bit of corrosion inside this system, hence why the hot water was coming out of it a little orange. So I've had to order a bunch of heater hose because we're going to use glycol in our heating loop, and we're going to use heat exchangers to keep it separate from the hot water system and from the engine and from the generator. Yeah, a little bit of added expense and also time delay. I have to order 100 plus feet of good quality marine heater hose, so it's going to take a while to get here. Anyways, in the meantime, we're going to connect the hydronic heater to at least power and fuel and confirm that it can fire up. I can do that at least. And in the meantime, I will continue to be cold. As you'll notice, the heat exchanger for the engine is actually turned sideways, and that's because this whole vessel is kind of open to these tubes. So if I had it on its side, fully like a third of it would just be trapped air. And I don't like that, so we're turning it this way, and we still have to put a reservoir up here because that coolant system is actually under pressure, the one from the engine. So it needs a pressure relief thing, and it needs to be at the highest section, which means this one down here on the engine will no longer work. Very, very fun and exciting. But yeah, so the coolant from the engine will come out this block right here and run underneath the floor and up into this tube. It'll come out this side and go to the saltwater heat exchanger and then get pumped back through the engine and keep the engine cool. The water will come up from the PEX tubes, the coolant from the hydronic system is going to come up and it will come in this side here. And the reason we want it on this side is because this is the side where the coolant from the engine will be coldest. So the coldest coolant from the hydronic and the coldest coolant from the engine are together, and the hottest are together. This lets you have peak efficiency, but it does mean that we're pumping it downwards. So whatever. It's against its own natural flow, but this thing will have forced water circulation, so I'm not too worried about it. Great, cool. So next thing's next. We'll get this all tightened down and we'll start bolting in some more of the coolant system, hydronic system. Coolant, hydronic, high coolant, engine, something. I don't know. We're gonna go find a mooring block that I tried to lift and broke. And then we're gonna lift it again and not break it this time. So we're gonna hop in the water. It is currently February something and there's snow everywhere. It's gonna be cold. Let's do this. This episode is full of problems. Alright, well, I may have gotten this power box into the boat. However, I'm not quite done with my problems. I really want this thing to work out, but it's not been easy. Okay, it's not been great. I have a problem. The doorway that I was going to put this in, that whole area I got in, where the electrical cabinet's going to go, and the fridge and the freezer, well, it's 19.5 inches. And you might recognize this as being wider than that in every measurable way. Now, there's a couple of options. She is 27 inches deep. If I chop that to 19.5 or even 19 inches, you know, that's 8 inches off the back. That's a significant chunk. However, it's not like the end of the world because the server racks are open-ended at the back. I can just bolt them on the front and have them dangle off the back to hold the server rack batteries. And I still have plenty of rack at the front here. And this whole thing slopes in because it's meant for an AV system. So at the top here, it's already 20 inches deep. So I just chop, you know, an inch off the top and then 8 inches off the bottom. Chop that whole thing down. It'll make it a little bit flimsy and I'll have to add some supports. And I can bolt them in to some supports down there. But what do you think? I'm not going to do it this episode. I'll do it in an upcoming episode. So I'll be able to hear your comments and get your feedback. Because the other thing I was thinking, it's got all these holes down the sides. I thought maybe I might just chop it in half and then bolt it back together. I don't know. If I only chop the back end off, I get to keep that little hatch at the top, and that still works. I don't know. I still think it's all worth it though, because building a cabinet like this and then having the server rack fit into there and all the like other components that bolt in and bolt out. And the amount of times I've had to change stuff about my electrical system and wish I had something that was just bolt in, bolt out, not a piece of plywood I screw 3,000 holes through and then have to move holes around and patch things up. I feel like this is the move. It's a lot faster and a lot easier, a lot nicer than doing something else. But I'm not above doing something else if I have to. It'd just be nice if this worked. Okay, so the engine used to have a shelf that sat about a foot higher than this one I'm building here. And you were supposed to kind of scurry underneath that shelf to do any engine work and access anything aft of kind of the first accessory belts up here. So I've decided instead to make a hinged cover for the engine, and this will allow me to add some extra sound deadening, some extra fireproofing, and also keep everything a lot quieter. Now, this is the same engine that was in the Ceto boat that I was running, and I am well familiar with the noise that this engine produces. And I'd rather not listen to that for the next 10 years. So instead, we're going to build this box, and then we're going to have storage above it. Now, the storage will be just like bins that can scoot in and scoot out for the most part. But I do still need space for a water maker and for my plasma cutters and welders and other like mechanical equipment that's got to kind of live in here. And so the idea is that since it hinges up, it will only be able to get up so high with the roof here. And I'm going to build a shelf out in this space that will fit the water maker and other components in a more permanent location. So we'll have temporary storage down here, permanent storage up here. We've got the heater plumbed in. The exhaust is bolted onto it. I don't have a muffler yet because it's actually kind of hard to find an 1.5 inch stainless muffler. So that's coming in the mail, but it's coming slowly. The power is wound up. We powered it on. We get an error number 10 on here. That is for ignition coil. Something about the ignition coil isn't working. I guess I'll do some more research. I'll figure that out. The engine room is starting to look pretty good. We've got the lights plumbed in. We've got some stuff bolted on the walls here. We're still waiting on a lot of equipment like the coolant tubing and all of the plumbing for this air pickup system that's going to ventilate the engine and ventilate the bilge and ventilate shower on the other side of the wall and hopefully the galley as well. I'm heading off to Asia.
The next few episodes will be about a trip I'm doing to Asia that I've been wanting to do for 10 years, and you know, watching my mom pass away way before she expected to, I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna do it. It's not the right time, I don't have enough money, and I can't make this work, but I'm gonna make it work anyway. So I'm gonna do that. So you guys will have to bear with me, and maybe you might enjoy it. I'm gonna hopefully go back to the shipyard that this whole boat was built in, and yeah, otherwise I'm just gonna have some great time, meet some people and have some fun, and trip of a lifetime, you know? Plus my feet are getting itchy. I've been here for too long. So I gotta get out there and explore a little bit. Anyways, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers.